Hello everyone, welcome back to Lucky Loaders 15, where you've come to a special vlog. I will be making my Grand National predictions for the big race on Saturday, which will be the 8th of April. I'm not doing any associations with a Lucky 15 for this vlog. It will just be purely my selections, a few horses that I think will have a good chance of being in the mix and in contention on Saturday. If you never watched one of these vlogs before, I'm just a tipster that makes a few rubbish predictions really, but I'm just going to be doing a few uh, horses for you that I think will definitely have a chance. And everyone likes normally a bet on the national, even if they don't like horse racing, because it's a major sporting occasion in the sporting calendar. So yeah, so these are going to be my picks for the Grand National. You don't have to take note of them, but I think these will have a really good chance of running. And there's also one outsider that a lot of pundits haven't been tipping, but I've tipped this horse a few times and it's coming really well for me. So stay tuned for that horse, because that will be the last horse I give out in this vlog. So yeah, so let's get stuck in. The first horse I'm going for to run a good race on Saturday is a horse called the Last Samarai. A lot of you may have backed him last year. He finished second in the race. I think he was 20-1. He came in the end. So a lot of people did not badly on the each way prospect. But this horse is currently a bit lower in the price this time at 14-1. But that's not to deter you. Since then, he's really validated that run in the Grand National. He's been a really consistent performer of late. Last time out, he ran behind a horse called Definitely Red at Doncaster. This horse, Last Samarai, last time it made a bit of hard work at Doncaster. Towards halfway in the race, he didn't look like he wanted to be there, but the David Bass got him going, the jockey, and he ended up coming second in that race, staying on really well. He looked like he had bundles of energy, and this race is over 4 miles long in the Grand National, so when you're backing horses, you've definitely got to back horses that you know that are probably prone to stay in 3 miles or even further, because endurance comes really into play in the Grand National. And even though a lot of these horses probably can do the trip, it depends which one will do it the quickest, which is obviously an obvious comment to make, but he does definitely stay this trip, and he's got good Grand National experience before. Even though he will be £10 higher in the weight, he's been put up by the handicapper since he ran in the Grand National last year, on the runs he's done since then. But he definitely can carry this weight around. He'll be off the same weight that he was at Doncaster anyway. So yeah, so he's definitely got a chance. He's currently 14-1 in the market. And yeah, he's being backed by a lot of people, this horse. So Last Samurai, if you fancy him, I'll take that price now. So that's the first horse that I'm going to select to run well on Saturday. Our second horse that we're going to pick tomorrow is a horse that beat this horse, the Last Samurai that I just mentioned. This horse is called Definitely Red, and he's trained by Brian Ellison, and he'll be ridden by Danny Cook. Danny Cook last rode Definitely Red when he won at Doncaster. That was a really good, solid display of jumping. He definitely had the pace on that day. And even though he's been prone to a bit of dodgy jumping here and then, he really put those errors to bed in his last run. And if he's anywhere near that kind of form that he was at Doncaster, this horse should definitely be in the mix. He's currently a bit shorter than the Last Samurai at 11-1. But you've got to be doing all these horses each way, because a lot of bookmakers will be playing 5 or 6 places, as it's one of the special days for bookmakers in the year. So yeah, so definitely if you fancy him, take it each way, because it'll definitely make you a little bit of money back on the each way perspective if he's there in the places. I think this horse is definitely game to be an improver, even though the handicapper has put it up £10. I think, especially with the way he ran last time, it's one of the best bits of form going into the race. So yeah, Definitely Red is definitely a horse to take into consideration for the Grand National. The third horse that I'm going to pick for the big race on Saturday is a horse called Vicente. This horse is currently trained by Paul Nicholls and will be ridden by the Great Northern Jockey, who we've backed a few times on this channel and sometimes come in for us, which is Brian Hughes. Brian Hughes, as you know by now, if you watch his channel, is second in the jockey standings to Richard Johnson. This horse has, even though it's run a few times over this winter, hasn't been absolutely convincing, but that's because it's been running on heavy ground, and now as we're in the dry ground, this horse really loves this type of ground. He tends to perform well at this time of year. This horse also won the Scottish National Ayr about a year ago. So yeah, so there's a lot of positives with this horse, and also Paul Nicholls will be hungry for this Grand National. He really wants to put the trainer's title to bed with his main rival Nicky Henderson, who them two have had a great battle in the last few weeks, and with over £1 million at stake in the race, Paul Nicholls will definitely want this one to put that title to bed. So Vicente is currently 20-1 in the market. There's a lot of positives about this horse. Been a lot of good vibes as well from Paul Nicholls. So yeah, so if you're a Paul Nicholls fan, this seems his best prospect in the race. So Vicente is at 20-1 as the third horse that I'm selecting. Now, for the horse that I said at the start of the vlog that I think will run really well on Saturday, a lot of pundits and plaudits haven't really considered this horse, but the horse that I'm going to back as my main good price horse is a horse called Shantou Flyer, which is currently 66-1 in the market at the moment. Now you think, why am I backing a 66-1 horse? Well, I have backed this horse, as I said, a few times over the last few months, and I got a really good win on it at Cheltenham. And I also backed it in the Betfair Ascot Chase, where it finished second to Q Card. And even though it was beaten 15 lengths in that run, it was absolutely miles back when it was coming towards the home turn. And Adam Wedge was aboard upon it that day. He was a really good jockey, and he managed to get the horse into second place. Now that horse beat a horse called Taquin de Soy, who came second at Cheltenham. And that was a really good performance by that horse. So this form doesn't look too bad on paper. And that race at Ascot was over 3 miles long. And even though we just said that you need a horse with bags of endurance, this horse has definitely got the endurance. It's also trained by Rebecca Curtis, who's a really good trainer. And she'll be teaming up with one of our jockeys who hasn't ridden for her for a while. He's called Jonathan Moore. And Jonathan Moore kind of has gone back to Ireland and because he wants to be with his family, and he's found the commitments coming over here a bit tough, but he'll be back on board this horse for the Grand National. And Shantou Flyer has definitely got a lot of positives about it. He'll love the ground. I definitely think he'll be worth a good chance in the trip. He's a good sound jumper as well, and with that consistency, I think he's definitely got to be in the mix. There's a lot of horses that are currently shorter than this, that I think, what the hell are people backing that horse for? Because I think Shantou Flyer is definitely going to be in with an absolute great chance at that price. And I think he will definitely shorten, not just after people watch this vlog because of my tip, but I think a lot of people that when they'll be getting their papers on the Saturday morning or the Friday night, narrowing down their selections, they'll actually think, hold on a minute, this Shantou Flyer isn't a bad horse. So yeah, take him now. Absolutely take him now. He's 66-1. I don't think he's going to go higher. I think he's only going to shorten. I think even on the day he might end up being something like 20-1, you know. Because even though there's a few gambles you're taking by backing him, he's overcome those questions all the time he's raced. So yeah, if you're watching now, Shantou Flyer for the National. Anyway, there are just a few horses that I'm selecting for the Grand National. They probably won't come in, and probably won't win, and probably won't play. So they'll probably all fall by halfway. But that's the Grand National for you. It's a really hard race to predict, but have some fun with your picks for the Grand National. If you've got any red hot tips for the Grand National, any horses you think going to win, leave them in the comments box below. Gamble responsibly, and I'll see you soon, and follow us on Lucky Loader if you want to see more horse racing predictions for our Lucky Loader 15s.